What's up, guys? Look, there's so many. Look, it's so many. And you know, the sad part about it is I've only read two of these. I've read Waiting to Exhale, which my daughter is watching now. That's because I was watching Stella Got Her Groove Back. I don't have that book. I think that was a book too. I believe the first book she wrote was a book called Mama, and I thought I had that one. So I read Mama and Waiting to Exhale. Well, these other books I had got on the intention of me reading them. I think I did read a little bit of the interruption of everything, but I basically gave them to my daughter, and so you read all of them. She read all of them, child. She said I wouldn't like this one, A Day Late and a Dollar Short. I do like the movie version of it, but of course, you know, they put extra details in there. So what I really wanted to do for you guys, and as an experiment, is I want to read from this book, which is the sequel to Waiting to Exhale, the Getting to Happy. And I believe that they were going to try to do a movie, but then, you know, Whitney Houston died, unfortunately. Dang, you got pictures of Kendra in here. I opened the book, you got pictures in here. Yeah. I know you hate that picture too.
Oh wow, that's my bookmark, the brown sugar.
Oh my gosh, and your prom picture. Oh, yeah, y'all. So I wrote my name in it because I think I was taking it to work sometimes. So I'll read you guys some of this and see if you guys think you want more of this, because it's been years since I've actually sat down and read. I used to be an avid reader. So let's see. An exuberant return to the four unforgettable heroines. Terry McMillan's Waiting to Exhale was more than just a best-selling novel. Its publication was a watershed moment in literary history. McMillan's vibrant story about four African American women struggling to find love and find place in the world touched a cultural nerve, inspired a blockbuster film, and changed African American fiction forever. In Getting to Happy, McMillan revisits Savannah, Gloria, Bernadine, and Robin 15 years later. After they parted ways with their stories, each is at her own midlife crossroads. Savannah has woken up to the fact she has made too many concessions in her marriage. Oh, Savannah married now? And decides to face life single again at 51. Bernadine has watched her mega divorce settlement dwindle, been swindled by husband number two, and conned herself into thinking that a few pills would distract her from the pain. Oh no. Robin has become a shopaholic, while a big dream of her life, to wear a wedding dress, has gone unrealized. And for years, Gloria has taken happiness and security for granted, but being at the wrong place at the wrong time can change everything. All four women are learning to heal past hurts, reclaim their joy and their dreams, but they return to us full spirit, sass, faith in one another. They've exhaled, now they are learning to breathe. How about that, y'all? Let me see if I can turn this. Let me turn that air conditioning down, y'all. Y'all hear that in the background? I apologize. Getting too happy. How many of y'all love the smell of a book? Oh yeah, there's Mama. I knew I wasn't. Oh, Disappearing Acts. I bet you that book is crazy because we had a movie, Disappearing Acts. I forgot she did that one too. Oh my gosh. This book was 2010. 2010, guys. I remember going to the movies to see Waiting to Exhale. I was 18 years old with my best friend at the time, Leslie. And I said, that will never be me. Well, yeah, the joke was on me. But anyways, y'all, nothing can be forced to live. The earth is like a drug now, like a voice from far away, a lover or master. In the end, you do what the voice tells you. It says forget, you forget. It says begin again, you begin again. From March by Lewis Gluck. We create ourselves by our choices. Kierkegaard. Oh. Alright, y'all. This is a note from Terry McMillan. For those of you who may have seen a movie that was based on my novel, Waiting to Exhale, please be aware that it was indeed a movie. As most of the screenwriters, I acknowledge that we strayed from the book, took many liberties, and ended it the way a film should leave you, hopeful and somewhat pleased. Well, sorry to say that after these women left that campfire on New Year's Eve, 1990, way out in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by nothing but each other in a pitch black desert in Phoenix, they found out that they apparently exhaling is a relative state that is difficult to sustain. Like the rest of us, I assumed they flourished and floundered over the years. To be honest, all four of them got on my last nerve long after their shelf life, and I forgot about them each time I met a new set of characters to worry and care about. 15 years later, however, these women suddenly began to reclaim their place in my heart. And like old friends you haven't seen since college, I wondered how they might be faring now. And like a good bottle of vintage wine, when aging is savored, because it usually enhances the flavor, I had hoped their lives might now be easier, smoother, solid, and joyful. A lot happens in 15 years, and like the rest of us, I realized that these four women are still trying to get to happy. She dedicated the book to the characters of the book. The first chapter is called The Deep End. Yeah, guys, this book has about 400 pages. So I'll just read a few pages, perhaps. The Deep End. Are you sure you don't want to come to Vegas with me? My husband asked for the second time this morning. I don't want to go for two reasons. First of all, it's not like he's inviting me for a hot and heavy weekend. Well, I'll get to wear something snazzy and we'll show a casino hop and stay up late and make love and sleep in and order room service. Not even close. It's another exciting trade show. Isaac builds decks, fences, gazebos, and pergolas. And as of a few months ago, playhouses. He's in love with wood. Can I help it if I don't get worked up hearing about galvanized nails or color-clad chain links and breakthroughs and screws and joints? I don't bother answering him because he's known for weeks I'm under a deadline for a story I'm doing in the rise of teenage pregnancy in Arizona, Phoenix in particular, which is the other reason I can't go. I've been sitting in front of my laptop in my pajamas for the past 40 minutes waiting for him to leave, so I'll finally have 3.5 days to myself to focus. But he is taking his sweet time. I didn't hear you. He's looking for something. I dare not ask what. You'd have the room all to yourself most of the day. You could still work. You know that's not true, Isaac. I sip my lukewarm coffee. I've been to so many of these conventions trying to be the supportive wife, but always get stuck with the wives, most of whom just want to sit around the pool all day reading romance novels or People magazine while they sip on margaritas and eat nachos or linger in the mall for hours with their husband's credit cards trying on resort wear for the cruise they're going on in the near future. I'm not crazy about cruises. I went on one with Mama and my sister Sheila, and those narrow hallways gave me the creeps because I've seen too many horror movies where the killer jumps out of the doorway and pulls you inside. After 2 or 3 days of being out in the middle of the ocean with no land in sight until you wake up not knowing what country you might be in front of, by day 4 I was ready to jump off our balcony and I backstroke home. And then there was those obligatory convention dinners. I'd sit there in one of the hotel ballrooms at a table full of contractors and their now gussied up wives, trying to be sociable. But I was basically making small talk since they never discussed anything that might be going on in the world. Call me elitist, but this often made me feel like an alien who had been dragged to another planet by my husband because he, as well as they, didn't seem to think producing television shows about cultural and social issues was as interesting as all the things they could build out of lumber. It truly irks Isaac that people don't respect or appreciate the role wood plays in our lives, that we aren't aware of how much we take it for granted, as if it'll always be here, and how we rely on it, overlook its value to the point we ignore it and its beauty. It would be nice if he still saw me the same way. For about 8 of the past 10 years, it felt like he did. As Isaac passes behind me, he smells like green apples and fresh squeezed lemons. For a split second, it reminds me of when we used to linger in the bathtub surrounded by sage and lemongrass candles. My back snug against his chest, his arms wrapped around me, and our toes making love. Those were the good old days. I snap out of it. Now he's pushing my favorite mustard color duffel across these terracotta tiles with those size 14 boots, leaving black scuff marks behind him as he simultaneously pulls a white sweatshirt over a white undershirt. It's a V-neck and shows the top of a black forest on his chest. If I could, I would, I say while checking my email. Of course, there are back-to-back messages from Robin, a joke I don't bother to read, an attachment about a new motionless exercise she told me and Gloria about last week that almost had us choking from laughter. She believes almost everything she sees on TV. You just don't want to go, he says. He starts looking through his pockets to make sure he has everything. He doesn't. I know just about all his patterns. Why don't you just come out and say it? Because it wouldn't be true. I rarely lie, although I'm not always 100% honest. This is one of those times. Then I guess I'll see you on Tuesday after rush hour. He walks over, presses his palms against my shoulder blades, gives him a little squeeze, bends over, and gives me a peck on the cheek. I don't feel a thing except for his scratchy new growth on his face. You have everything, I ask. What if I don't? Would it matter to you? Of course it would matter to me, Isaac. Right before he gets to the door leading to the garage, he turns and looks at me as if he doesn't believe me. Isaac knows we're on a shaky ground. I'm seriously beginning to think you might be racist. He's trying to find a button to push. I'm not falling for it. Part of our problem is he's forgotten how to talk to me. He's forgotten how to ask me a question that doesn't put me on the defensive. All those other sessions with the marriage counselor for some reason, for some of which he played sick or was too busy drilling or hammering, aren't saving us. I'm tired of this war, which is why I'm ready to hold up a white flag. Aren't you supposed to be picking up somebody? So now you're trying to get rid of me, is that it? Yes. How's that for an honest answer? I feel my body stiffen, using the truth to lie. Have a good time, Isaac. Wait a second. Did you remember to make the loan payment? I asked because he seemed to have a little bout of amnesia off and on the past 6 or 7 months. It's because of brand new friction. I have no idea what he's been doing with his money. It's not gambling. That much I do know. He stays away from the Indian casinos and usually dreads these conventions when they are in Vegas. He thinks gambling is too much of a gamble. Most people lose. That's not really it. Isaac is just too cheap. Yes, I made it. As a matter of fact, I paid too. Thank you. And have a good time, I say, without moving my fingers, which are frozen 2 or 3 inches above the keys I co-signed for this loan to help him start his business. After it took off, he took over the payments. Unfortunately, I've discovered by default that Isaac isn't as proficient managing his finances as he is building. To this day, he refuses to hire a bookkeeper, which is one of the reasons his taxes are always late. Good luck on your research, he says, and heads for the garage. He is so disingenuous. He hardly ever watches my shows anymore. For years he pretended he was interested, but over time he couldn't fake it anymore. He thinks my stories show problems that can't be solved, so what's the point? I finally hear the door shut. I turn around and stare at it. It's red. My bright idea. I'm hoping to hear the garage door go up. There it is. Then the engine roars in his truck. Instead of turning my attention back to the screen, I wait for the handle to turn. Sure enough, in he comes. I forgot my cell phone. He dashes down the hallway to our bedroom. To this day, Isaac reminds me of a black Paul Bunyan, except he's getting a few strands of gray. His mustache and goatee look like they've been sprayed with silver dust. He is still sexy as hell, which is a shame because it doesn't seem to be serving any purpose. I shouldn't dog him too much. Isaac is a good man. I just don't think marrying each other was the best thing. Wasn't the best thing we could have done for each other. He stops dead in his tracks, pivots, comes over and kisses me in the exact same spot. This time, he lets his lips stay on a millisecond longer. I appreciate the gesture. I'll call when I get checked in. I make myself some French toast, put on a few strips of bacon in the microwave, and sit back in front of my laptop. My mind isn't even on teen pregnancy. So I bookmarked the sites I may want to look at later. I'm thinking about the man who just left. The one I once loved harder than any of the others. I was a 40-year-old love-starved black woman who've never been married, and I didn't think it was still possible. I met Isaac in church. He was tall, dark, and handsome. Aren't they always? I was sitting near the front and found myself going deaf as the minister delivered yet another guilt-laced sermon about the evils of temptation, because I was slowly being hypnotized by Isaac Hathaway's soft black eyes up there in the third row of the choir. This was a small church. It was as if he appeared out of nowhere. I certainly would have noticed him before. Not that I went to church every Sunday, and not that I didn't have faith in God. I still do. I did, and I still do. I've been on a whole lot of folks' prayer lists, and God has known for years my address was still 111 Unlucky in Love Avenue. On this particular Sunday, this man followed me down those church steps to the parking lot and seduced me with my clothes on. After he smiled at me and introduced himself in a slow baritone and said, "You are absolutely beautiful." I blushed brick red because he was lying through his teeth. I was not then, nor am I now, even remotely close to beautiful. Now I've been known to be attractive on special occasions, and I do my best to project as much beauty as I can muster from deep inside, though I often fail. On this particular day, I was wearing a boring brown dress I thought was perfect for church, since it's not a venue for which I dress to draw attention to myself. Back then, I hadn't gotten into the habit of exercising on a regular basis, and my dress didn't conceal enough of my curves for my taste. So Isaac couldn't possibly have been moved by my breasts, since they were, and still are, close to non-existent. The pearls were noticeably fake, which should have given him a clue that I wasn't loaded, although I made out okay. Besides, who under 50 wears real pearls to church? I never did hear him sing solo. I would later think God had saved the best for last. Any woman in my position would have felt the same way, and probably done the same thing, parachuted into his arms. Okay, so that was 5 pages. So yes, guys, this was just an experiment to see if you think you would like me to read along. That way I can actually finish a book. So we are on we're going to be on page 6 of Getting to Happy. So let me know what you think about this video segment. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time.